All right, we are live. Okay, so welcome everybody
Yay.
to episode 21 of the Leadership Livestream brought to you by Women's Council of Realtors. My name is Nick Sachs. I'm co-host of Amplified Marketing Group. We have an awesome show for you guys today. We actually are going to talk about health and wellness. And, a lot of times we bring on sponsors and everything on this show and talk about business. But I think today, with COVID-19, with everything going on, there's a lot of internal struggles that we have, right? We're all sitting at home. We all want to be healthier and better. So we have two amazing guests today that are going to share their experience with COVID and how they've gotten healthier as a result of sitting at home or being on lockdown or what have you. So as always, we are streaming this live on Facebook. So if you have any comments for the guests or myself, feel free to put them there. I monitor the comments as we go. And without further ado, we'll introduce you to the hostess with the mostest, your WCR 2020 president, Mrs. Catherine Sakis. Catherine, take it over.
Thank you, Nick. And thank you, everyone, for attending this great event. I think you're going to find it very worthwhile and very educational. We like to start everything with our mission statement. And our mission statement for Women's Council is we are a network of successful realtors advancing women as business leaders in the industry and the communities we serve. We always like to take this opportunity to remind everyone, you don't have to take on the world to be a leader. You're all leaders in your own lives, your personal lives, your homes, your churches, your communities, and your businesses. And the skills of leadership can and will enhance your life. So that being said, I want to welcome everyone to our special edition, our health and wellness edition. And as you know, we started out this program to help our members pivot their businesses during quarantine. And we did that with the help of our strategic partners. Well, there's a lot more that's gone on in quarantine than just business. And today we want to focus on the personal growth and health of our members, as we have found out in retrospect that COVID has affected all areas of our lives, not just business. You heard the expression, the quarantine 15. It used to be the freshman 15. Now it's the quarantine 15. There's a lot of stress-related issues, depression, anxiety, a lot of ignored routine health screenings, even up to dental appointments. So our health is very much taken a back burner during this crisis. And we have three very special guests with us today. Each one is unique in their own way, but they have all managed to accomplish one thing in common. They've all lost a significant amount of weight in relation during this COVID time. And I know we're talking about health and wellness, but we all know at every checkup, what does that doctor say to you? You do a lot better if you lost 10 pounds, 5 pounds, 50, fill in the blanks. It's all related. Okay. So that being said, let me go ahead and introduce our guest with a short bio. Ladies first. Our first guest is Claudette Kelsey. Claudette is very special, near and dear to Women's Council in Tampa. She has been a longtime supporter of Women's Council back when we had affiliates and sponsors and all that. And now we have strategic partners, and Claudette and Caliber Home Mortgage are silver strategic partners of ours. And more important than just the money, anytime we say who can help us with fill in the blank, it's always Claudette that raises her hand. So she's there for us in a lot of different ways. Over the years, she's been in the real estate field for 25 years, starting with on-site sales, and then was in title and lending about, 4.5 years ago, right? And she's a Tampa native. She's been with Women's Council since 1992. So that's just
A little while.
Impressive.
Nice.
When I was 10. When I was 10, Catherine.
I'm sorry.
No, I was
She was
just
10
joking.
years
You
old.
said when I
you
was
were
10. When
10.
Yeah,
Okay,
I
yeah.
started with Women's
Yeah,
Council.
just about. That about makes it right. You chaired many events for WCR, and you appreciate building the relationships with others and helping buyers achieve home ownership. So welcome, Claudette.
Thank
And
you.
then we have also next a very special guest, Andrew Bell. Andrew's well known to a lot of you, but for those of you who do not know Andrew, Andrew was born and raised in Atlantic Beach, and he began his real estate career in lending, where he spent a couple years before transitioning into real estate. And in the last 10 years, he's used his extensive lending knowledge to help his customers and managed an independent brokerage for several years, and then decided to open his own company, Next Home Assurance Realty. And from this is when I say most of you will know Andrew. He's been extremely active in Women's Council, and he has served as a director on the local and state Realtor Association level. And he is past president for Women's Council, state of Florida. So let's give that a round of applause. He's very active in his community, and he's been married to his wife of 19 years and has two beautifully, wonderfully talented children. So thank you for being here, and let's welcome Andrew.
Thank you.
And then even though he kicked us off and he's our co-host, and most of you know Nick as the co-host and our local WCR tech guy, Nick is also going to be a guest today. Again, most of you know him well. He's been a Diamond Strategic Partner and been responsible for bringing Tampa Women's Council to the 21st century technology-wise. He is founder and CEO of Amplified Marketing, specializes in internet marketing, social media, branding, all that great stuff. Has two beautiful boys of his own who I'm, not shy to say, particularly since they're my grandchildren. So there we go. So welcome to all of you, and let's get started. And again, ladies first. Claudette, what made the decision to lose weight and get healthy happen at this time?
Oddly enough, it was like a couple months into COVID, and I realized that I was gaining weight rather than losing. But then when I had a time for a special project one weekend, I found that 2 days later I was really sore, and it wasn't even that hard of a thing. So I decided that I needed to get healthy, lose weight rather than continue to gain during COVID, and decided to make some changes that would help with flexibility and getting healthier.
So what came first, the decision to get healthy or the decision to lose weight?
Actually, to get healthy, for sure, because I have found that now it's been like 3 months. I really needed that for myself because, as we all know, the one thing about COVID, the stress level, just absolutely crazy. Even with our business on the mortgage side, business plummeted for a couple weeks, but then, as y'all know, afterwards, you could work 24/7. It's just been so busy out there. Yeah. So I needed the health for my own benefit.
Right. How about you, Andrew? What prompted your decision?
Mine was weight loss. Despite my weight, I'm a relatively healthy person until recently. But mine's really just always been about weight loss, and it's been a roller coaster throughout my entire life.
So did you just say to yourself one day, okay, I'm shut down at home, let's go time? Or
so it kind of coincided with everything. Is at the end of January, I said, okay, it's time to buckle down on my weight. And then I started focusing on it. And then as soon as COVID hit, I got to say, there was that time where I was like, oh gosh, the stress increases. And now it's like, do I really want to work on what I'm trying to work on? But I took that time to actually kind of just double down on my focus and my efforts instead of just kind of wavering.
Excellent. Nick, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, I have kind of a story I don't know if we have enough time for my story, but I have been, overweight basically my whole life. Even when I was a two-sport athlete playing football and baseball, I was always one of the heavier kids. And, in my early 20s, when I stopped playing after a couple knee surgeries, I really started packing on some weight. So for me, I'm definitely in a much different position than Claudette or Andrew, where I had to lose a lot of weight. I didn't necessarily have like a medical wake-up call, I just had okay, I'm home during COVID. I'm seeing my young kids are growing up, 1 years old and 4 years old. And the realization that I'm starting to struggle keeping up with my 4-year-old and the way he's playing. And so that kind of hit me really hard. Like, hey, you were a two-sport athlete. You prided yourself in teamwork and everything. And you're not going to be able to be his coach when he's next year, 5 years old or 6 years old or whatever. So that kind of sped up the timeline for me and then made me realize that I had gone way off the handle as far as what I considered normal, right? You get into these habits and these routines, and if you don't have the accountability or people to really chime in your life, or hang around with other people who are doing better things, then you create these habits for yourself that you think are normal that are absolutely not, usually not normal, right? And for me, I started off, I was 470 pounds. So I knew when I had to buy a different scale because the scale I had in my bathroom couldn't weigh me, I had an issue. So combining all those things, that's one of the reasons. I mean, for me, it's the big why, finding out what your why is. I don't know what Claudette or Andrews is, but for me, it was definitely my kids and being able to be the best version of myself as I can for them.
And what Nick did too, and he and I over the years had this conversation many times, but you don't do it till you decide to do it yourself. And I give him a lot of credit because he came right out, didn't even give me any warning, right out on social media. This is me. This is how much I weigh. Accountability in front of the world. So
you can follow my journey if you want to find me on Facebook or YouTube or whatever. Like, I'm posting about every couple of weeks with different video updates from 3 months ago. It's been 3 months now, so documenting everything.
Back to Claudette. So you made the decision. How did you do it? What's the diet? What's the secret?
Mine actually changed up a little bit. That probably was crazy because everybody thought I was nuts, but I started going to the gym. There again, like y'all said, I wanted to be healthy for my husband and for my son, never knowing later that my husband was going to have some health issues, which neither one of us had. So I was already doing it. So I went to the gym every day. Side bonus, because Matt would show up some of those days too. So you see, there was a method in my madness to get to see my son more often too, because he's always busy. But I really decided to change the way I ate also. So I started eating a lot of smaller meals and much healthier meals. And I found that I actually was more eating too much. And maybe that's why I didn't have as many health issues, but I definitely never could get the weight off. So now having the small, healthier meals has made a big difference. So I have like 4 meals a day more spread out. And I actually go to the gym every single day. So I leave my house a little before 5 a.m., which is kind of nuts, but it's my me time. And you know what? I think that's the other thing too. Until, just like you said, Nick and Andrew, the same thing, until you make it your own priority, you have to take care of yourself first. And I think that all 4 people I see on the screen are very giving people and will always do for others.
Yeah.
And I figured the only way to be healthy and help other people too is to give a little bit of time for myself.
That's so true. And that's something we all know on an intellectual level, but actually putting it to work. It's like in the old days when you used to fly, and they'd say when that mask comes down, put it on your face first and then the child. So counterintuitive to the way most of us really operate. Okay, Andrew, how'd you do it?
So I actually started going to the gym in October of last year, and I was swimming about 3 days a week. And honestly, I'm still putting on weight. And in the end of January, I was still doing the gym 3 days a week. But I decided I was going to focus on my diet. But more so than diet was a lifestyle change on how I eat, as opposed to just saying, okay, this is how I'm going to eat. And when I lose the weight, I'm going to shift back to doing whatever I want to do. So a lot of it was just a mental shift on what I'm going to eat. I struggle with an addictive personality. Luckily, I'm not a cigarette smoker. I'm not an alcoholic. I don't do drugs. But over the several months, I'm like, man, I think I'm just addicted to food, because if I'm not eating, I'm thinking about eating. And when I'm eating, I'm thinking about what I'm going to eat on my next meal. And so I did some research on different things and past experiences. And I know that I had a lot of success with a low carb. So not no carb, but low carb. And that's what I do. I try and stay under 30 net carbs a day. But I also will have like a cheat day or a cheat, weekend. And that really helps the mental side of things. But it helps me get through the week. So I started focusing on working out. I try and make sure I exercise 30 minutes a day, whether it's core exercises or going to the gym to swim or walking, and then making sure that I can do everything I can to keep my carbs under 30 net carbs a day. So finding different meals and different things to eat. It's a struggle. I won't say it's easy, but for somebody who likes to eat, it's replacing the potato chips and dip with nuts and protein shakes and other snacks that I have found that are low carb.
Definitely very mindful, very well thought out. And that's one of the reasons I want to have three of you on. Like, so many people are looking for the magic bullet, the magic pill. And the realization is that
Right.
everyone's different and everyone needs to know themselves well enough to approach it differently, you know? Um, and like some people absolutely can't do low carb, but they can do Weight Watchers where you can have an occasional piece of cake. So it's just also individualistic. Nick,
Yeah. So to kind of back up Andrew, I think we're kind of vibing here a little bit because a little bit of music to my ears. You know what? When I had the realization 3 months ago that, and the reason why I've been able to lose so much weight so fast is because I had a lot of weight I still have a lot of weight to lose. But instead of going on another crash diet, because throughout my whole life I've done the, whatever fad diet was at the time, and I would lose 50, 60, 80 pounds and then gain 100 or 120 back. And that cycle's continued my whole entire life. And, this time was a little bit different because instead of just saying I'm going on another diet or I'm going to do this lifestyle change, I had to really make a realization to myself that I am 100% addicted to food. And so attacking my lifestyle and the way that I think about food now is totally different than I ever have. It's been 3 months. I haven't had one cheat meal, and I'm not looking forward to another cheat meal because I'm I'm looking and reading and talking to people about addiction instead of just diet. So when I see a commercial, I made a video about this a couple of weeks ago about the shakaroni pizza that was haunting me in my dreams for a couple of weeks when I first started, right? It's that kind of stuff. And you realize that you're triggered with certain things, your mouth waters. And if that's you, if you're that person, like Andrew said, if you're eating a meal and you're planning your next meal while you're eating currently, you probably have a food addiction. And to be able to realize that, I'm not going to say that being addicted to drugs or alcohol or anything is less or more. But what I will say is you can stop smoking cold turkey, you can stop drinking cold turkey, you can stop doing drugs cold turkey, but you always have to eat food.
Mhm.
So, in my opinion, I think food addiction is one of the hardest things to kick because in society and culture, food is love and going out to eat with friends and family. Or if you had a good day, you eat a good meal. If you had a bad day, you eat a good meal because it's an emotional tie. So really removing that aspect and just realizing that food is fuel and really knowing the calories. So at the end of the day, Andrew's mentioned low carb. I know Claudette's kind of mentioned that as well. For me, I went to a very scientific approach of calories in, calories out. My mom will laugh because she's been saying that my whole life. But at the weight that I was at 6 feet tall, you can go to calculator.net if you want to calculate your own. You can actually put in your height and weight and see how many calories you have to consume on a daily basis in order for you to maintain whatever weight that you're at. So the plain fact is if you're not in a calorie deficit on a daily basis, then you're never going to lose weight. The reason why low carb works or any other of these fad diets work is because you tend to always be in a calorie deficit because you're not eating the fried food, you're not eating all that stuff. So it all comes back to that calorie count, right? So for me, I knew that I had to consume about 4,000 calories, 4 to 4,500 calories to stay at the weight that I was at. So what do? I take that and I go, I want to be 270 pounds. What's that calorie count look like? And that's my target as a daily goal. And so like what Claudette said, is the smaller meals throughout the day, because one of the worst things you can do is go 4 to 6 hours without eating, and then you're starving, and then you're busy, and then you go to drive through and you eat. For me, I was ordering 2 value meals at one time, because I mean that's just how crazy my appetite was. So on the business side of things, and I don't want to take the whole show, but talking, attacking it and having a plan is one of the biggest things, best things you can do, right? We all have numbers and metrics and everything that we track for our business, but a lot of times we don't track what we do in our life. And so if you're not tracking your calories, if you're not tracking your meals, if you're not planning to be better, then you'll fall into the trap of just what's easy and convenient. And sadly, you know, what's easy and convenient now is definitely not healthy for you, because there's fast food on every corner.
Those are some really good points. And, you know, the point about addiction, you know, is true. And I had my own weight loss journey. It took me about 5 years to lose close to 100 pounds. And so I was much heavier, and I realized I had a sugar addiction, and bad. So the only way, and Nick would know this because everybody knew it. So like for birthday and Christmas gifts, I get Godiva chocolates, you know, all these diet saboteurs in your life that love you, you know. And I would have Nick hide it from me because I knew I'd eat the whole box. I woke him up one night and said, where'd you hide it? Gotta find it, you know. But so that resonates with me when he says about addiction, because it's true. So now I don't buy cookies, cake, chocolate. It's out of my house. Alcohol can be out of your house. Drugs can be out of your house. But you have to deal with food at least 3 times a day. And I think that's, like you say, you don't want to take away from anyone's accomplishment or journey, but that's a huge factor to consider. But even though the 3 of you have approached it different ways, you all have your successes. Do you want to share, Claudette, how much have you lost?
Yeah, so far I've lost 26 pounds.
Wow.
It doesn't seem like a lot, but I sent Nick a picture, and at
Yeah,
some
we
point
want to
I
show the
might
picture right
release it.
now. Are we
Oh,
ready?
go ahead,
Wait,
Nick.
wait, before you show the picture, when you say it doesn't seem a lot,
But that's what I
Claudette,
was
you're
just saying.
about my height. You're like 5'2", right?
That's the whole thing at 5'2",
That's a lot of
and
weight.
muscle compared to fat.
And
Because
I also, this is not in the excuse category. This is in the known fact category. And so many of our women of a certain age, members, will attest at a certain age, hormones and all of that going on have a big effect and make it much more difficult to lose. So
absolutely. So one day at a time, and that's basically it. And just like Nick said, I do use my Fitness Pal, because now I eliminate a lot of carbs, but I also do have some carbs, because like Andrew said, I can't live without some carbs, and you'd still have some and then you'd feel guilty, and that was like kind of crazy too, because I tried the keto thing. That's not a permanent lifestyle. So with low carbs, it's worked out really good. And my
okay, let's see the picture.
Are we ready?
Are we ready for the big reveal?
Let's share the
I
screen
don't know.
here. And boom. Look at that.
Wow.
When it's really amazing. Like, I highly recommend.
Well,
Andrew said he didn't have any pictures, but you got to take some pictures, buddy, because the stuff that you see yourself in the mirror every day, and you don't necessarily know how much you've lost or the traction that you've had till you put them side by side like this.
That's
and
amazing.
both of those were after I worked out at the gym. So like the very first day is the one on the left, and the other one was probably from 5 or 6 days ago. So.
Well, that's brave in itself to take a picture at the gym with sweaty hair and the whole.
Let me tell you something. If it wasn't for Nick, this picture would not be on the screen right now, because, buddy, he is braver than anybody. So that's awesome. Have to commend that.
Well, you know what's funny?
For other people.
In anticipation of today's show, which is not about me, but I was thinking about my journey and how much I lost, and I was going to shock everybody by showing them a before and after.
Yeah.
I can't find a picture of myself. And I completely remember, tell me, Nick, if I'm wrong, I would always take the picture. I would never get in it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what you do.
I would
you
not
don't want to be the one.
I could not. And the only picture that's somewhat remaining, maybe halfway through my journey, is my driver's license photo. And clearly, I don't have as much self-esteem as y'all, because that is the worst thing. that known to mankind. So I didn't put it up there. So this is to you, Claudette. That is just
Thank you.
Congratulations.
great.
Thank
Awesome
you.
stuff.
It's a journey. It's a daily journey.
Yeah.
It's a daily, yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Andrew? How much?
So I am down 55 pounds.
Wow.
Very nice.
Thank you. Yeah. I want to piggyback on something that, we all touched on. And I think all three of us will agree, you had mentioned this earlier, there is no magic pill. It starts with, you've got to get your mind right, and you've got to be committed mentally and know that it's going to take work. And so that was really the first thing. And if you're not committed to it mentally, then it doesn't matter what you do. You're not going to have success in the long run. And you got to remember that, I, like Nick, I was on a diet in kindergarten. You know what I mean? That's like literally when I first started dieting.
Yeah.
But you have to be committed to it. You have to get your mind right. And you just have to just stay focused and have that plan. For me, it's meal prep and meal planning. And that's a big struggle, because I have two kids that eat whatever they want. And we have all sorts of junk food in the house because of it. But being right mentally and focused and meal prepping and meal planning make it very easy when I get hungry to just go, you know what? I don't have to grab the bag of chips. I have a protein bar that I can eat, or I have a protein shake that I can have instead.
It's the options, right?
Yeah.
If you create the option for yourself to have a good opportunity, you're going to take that option, right? But the problem is, when you don't prep, you don't plan, there's no option for you but crap, and then you just go, oh well, and let it roll, and whatever. So I totally agree with that for sure.
So Nick, what's your number today?
Well, as of this morning, because I weigh every day, even though I probably shouldn't. I should be weekly now. I'm 75 pounds down.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So I have a big goal though. I have a goal of 200 pounds is my end goal, and it could be more. I'm not really sure. It's funny. I was telling my mom the other day, and Andrew could probably really relate to this. When you're a big guy, especially your whole life, you have seasons of clothes in your closet, and that doesn't mean summer, spring, fall. It means 3X, 4X, 5X, and so I have little sections of my office that are in my closet that are different sizes. So I found a pile of clothes with shorts and shirts. The shirts are 3X, so I was up to a 6X shirt, getting tight with a 6X, which is crazy. Now I'm in a 4X basically, so I'm 2 sizes down on the shirt size. But I found a pair of khaki shorts from the Gap, which I haven't shopped at the Gap since high school, and I imagine that these shorts are probably from my early 20s. And so now I had the 200-pound goal, but those are a size 40. And that's now my goal. So whatever the weight is that I fit in those, I know that that's pretty much what I was in my early 20s when I was playing. And I saved those shorts for a reason. I didn't even know that they were in there, but I found them. And so that's now my gold standard, I think, of when I can wear those, I'll be super pumped.
Can I
call that shopping in your own closet.
Yeah.
Can I jump in and say something?
Oh, yeah.
So, Nick, it's interesting. You're right. I do have seasons. And I actually just did a closet consult and got rid of a bunch of clothes. The lady's like, does it fit? I was like, it's actually too big. She's like, then throw it away.
Yeah.
Or, donate it. And then because you're not going back. And so that's a big thing too. You get rid of the stuff that doesn't fit, because part of you is like, when you've yo-yoed your entire life, you're like, well, eventually I don't want to get rid of it, because I spent good money on it, and if I ever get back to it, but the mindset is get rid of it. You're not going back there. The other thing that I thought about as I was getting ready for this is, don't dress for comfort. Dress for what makes you feel good and what you're wearing. Right. And dress for success. And so if that means going out and buying clothes because you've lost weight and not wearing the oversized shirt, not wearing the 6X because you don't want to go buy a 3X. Right. No, go buy the 3X and get rid of the 6X. Dress for success and dress so that you feel confident about yourself. Yeah. And if it's a little tight, you're just going to work that much harder into making sure that that shirt or that pair of pants fits a lot more comfortable.
Yeah, that's the reality check, right? Because you might lose, like you lost 50 pounds. You're going to feel good, right? But then all of a sudden, if you try on a pair of pants that are a little bit too tight, you go instant reality check. Boom. I still got a ways to go.
Yep.
I'm not going to eat that pizza that I was going to have this weekend because I got these new clothes now I got to fit into. I love that.
I remember once years ago seeing a Dr. Phil, and I'm not a big Dr. Phil fan. I don't even know why I had it on. He was talking about weight loss. And he said, one of the biggest problems in America is we come home from work, take off our clothes, women throw on, a house coat, something, elastic pants, guys throw on gym shorts or, sweatpants, and we all eat in these elastic waist clothes. He said, if you kept your work clothes on with your belt and your stomach hanging over it, you wouldn't have that second helping.
So true. And with COVID, we're staying home all the time. I was not used to that.
Everybody was saying, oh, I'm in my pajamas, I'm in my gym shorts, and you don't even know. So Andrew, let me make sure I'm right. You said 55 pounds?
Yes.
So combined on this screen is 155 pounds of weight loss.
Wow.
Yay.
So, or 155 steps to better health.
There you go.
However you want to look at it.
One step at a time.
So, I mean, I think I'm just so excited. I think that's so phenomenal, and everybody can relate. I mean, I don't know anyone, at least women my age, that have ever said, oh, I feel like I'm too thin.
Yeah.
Everybody wants to feel better, look better, even, that's vanity, but so what? It counts. Mm-hmm. And everything, like, there's some statistic, maybe one of like for every 10 pounds you lose, it takes so much pressure off your knees and your joints.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I've heard that, but it
definitely does.
Yeah.
I mean, I live
now are easier.
I can tell you, I live in a 2-story house, and 75 pounds ago, going up and down the stairs, I was holding onto the rail and huffing and puffing by the time I got up there. Right now, I'm not holding onto the rail, and my breath is the same from down to up. So you can just little stuff like that you recognize once you start to lose weight. You're like, oh, wow, okay, going in the right direction.
And Nick, if you just want to touch lightly, because you didn't just run through real quickly what you're doing. So basically Claudette's in the smaller portions, watching the carbs. You're pretty much on the same page, right, Andrew? Very low carb.
Low
carb.
Right.
I don't watch my portions. I shouldn't say never. I mean, when you go low carb and you're on a high protein diet, you get to the point to where you're not as hungry. Your body isn't craving the carbs. So I eat small meals several times a day, and it just, I mean, I've already had I've had like 4 or 5 small meals today already, which really doesn't constitute a meal, but I just keep eating small portions throughout the day.
That's kind of like the Weight Watchers theory too. On points, you get carbs are a lot more points, so you start to learn not to use them. And then certain foods are free, like vegetables. Well, there's a reason for that. I don't care how hungry you are. It's real hard to eat an entire bag of frozen vegetables.
Yeah.
It's like the stuff they give you for free is almost impossible to pig out on, because are you going to eat a dozen hard-boiled eggs? I don't think so.
I don't know. You make deviled eggs out of it. You can.
Oh yeah, well that's true. So Nick, you were going to say quickly what you?
Yeah, I'm 6 meals a day as well. I eat every 2 to 3 hours, and again, it's back to the calorie count. So keeping it super low calorie. I'll say this, right? When going back to the food addiction thing, and then going back to, like you had mentioned, Weight Watchers. Weight Watchers is a great option because it's one of those nationally available. There's an app on your phone. You can go to a restaurant and realize, hey, if I go to Chick-fil-A and get this chicken sandwich, you quickly realize that the side of ranch dressing is almost as many points as the chicken sandwich itself. So you can start to balance and say, I'd rather have 2 chicken sandwiches than 1 sandwich in the side, so you start to realize how calorie dense certain things are. So that's a great way to do it. But eating every 2 or 3 hours keeps you, it doesn't necessarily, like you've heard starvation mode. I don't necessarily believe there's such a thing as starvation mode, because it's all calories in, calories out. If you ate 5 bananas at one time during the day and you spaced them out, like, it's still the same amount of calories. What happens is if you go to more than 4 hours without eating, when you do eat, you just become this ravenous monster, or at least I do, right? So for me, keeping that steady increment of now, like my mom, we share a business calendar. She saw it when I first started. I had meeting times. I mean, it was time for fuel, right? I was putting it in the calendar. I got that detailed to where I knew this time of day, nobody could book an appointment with me because my calendar's online as well. It's like that was blocked off, and it was time for me to eat that time. So I don't necessarily need to look at my calendar anymore. It's just embedded in my system. But so for me, we talk about elimination, like people talk about elimination diets. Andrew's like low carb. It's not necessarily, I don't want to look at it in terms that I always looked at it in terms of elimination. It's just alternative now, because it's a healthier journey. So it's really hard. And I'm 36. So 36 years of my life, I thought it was normal to go to a restaurant, and when you go to Chili's and they offer you double fries, that's a normal thing to do. Well, that's just the restaurant industry trying to get you to come back. Like, it has nothing to do with health and well-being. So once you realize that the life that you've been living is not normal, it might be normal in society, but it's not the healthiest way to live. And there's other means, there's other things to do. So like, if you're going to eat a pizza, maybe you make it yourself and have different alternatives, like the cauliflower crust, lower sugar tomato sauce, lower fat mozzarella cheese, those things. So you're not necessarily completely eliminating, you're just doing it in an alternative way, right? And just giving back to yourself, right? Because you don't need to be sucked in. And I'm a marketing guy, right? So I absolutely love the marketing side of it and how we use different colors and language. And here's a fun fact. I don't know if you guys realize this or not. There is no such thing as fried chicken anymore, if you've noticed, because fried chicken is bad. So when you go to KFC, it's KFC now. It's not Kentucky Fried Chicken. When you go to Chick-fil-A, when you go to Wendy's, you don't get a fried chicken sandwich. You get a crispy chicken sandwich.
Yeah.
And it's little stuff like that you just incrementally over time, like, I'm not eating a fried chicken sandwich with a bunch of calories and fat that's clogging up my heart and my arteries. It's just crispy. Right? It's no big deal. Everybody gets a crispy sandwich.
It's a good point, though.
So
the manipulation that we deal with from advertisers and media and restaurants, you know, on how it skews our perspective.
And I was the guy, like, again, going back to food addiction, and I've talked about this in my videos too. If you're the type of person that's going to a restaurant and you only go to specific restaurants because they give you the most amount of food, you probably have an issue. Right? That you need to figure it out. So if you're eating for mass, because you get the double fries at this place and that's just your place, that's where you go, then you got to just realize that that's an issue, and breaking that is one of the hardest things you can do in your life. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, because you've been so accustomed to it. It's like anything else, change is hard. So you have to have that plan in place, and then to back that up, you have to have a why. Right? Why are you doing this? Because those days, I had one last night or the night before. We had meatloaf, homemade, delicious meatloaf and macaroni and cheese. My house smelled like Thanksgiving on steroids. Like, it was just ridiculous. I come downstairs from my office and I'm like, why? I'm hungry right now. This smells amazing, right? But then you can go back and say, well, why am I doing this? What's important? You take a step back, take a deep breath. Am I really starving right now, or am I just been triggered by a smell? Do I really need this food? And why am I doing this? Because it's those times, if you really figure out why you're doing it, that's what's going to pull you through. Because it's not going to be it can't be a temporary thing. Like, I want to just fit in my bathing suit. It doesn't mean anything. Like, that might mean something to you, but there has to be some other deeper meaning, right? It'll help you pull through.
Yeah. And, Nick, I think one of the things that was real helpful that I did before, but I do it even more now that you showed in your video, sometimes when you think you're hungry, you're just thirsty. So I drink more water. I've always drank a lot, but now I probably drink 12 or 16 drinks a day with water. You know, everybody has their water like right next to them, right?
Two or three of these a day. I'm a gallon and a half.
Bottles. Yeah. But it works. It works, you know?
So I have 2 hacks. I have 2 more hacks for you. right?
Oh, okay.
Well,
Number
please
one,
share.
number one, if you're eating, right? Once you're done with the food that you're eating, like say you're just eating smaller meals and you're hungry after you eat all the time, go brush your teeth if you can. Because when you brush your teeth, you subconsciously tell your mind that I'm absolutely done with food and you don't crave as much anymore. It's weird. And I didn't believe it. I have a health coach and she told me this and I'm like, whatever, that's ridiculous. I did it and it works. So try
Yeah,
that. If you're
I
home,
will.
Can I say something on that, Nick? My
uh-oh.
little tip that I've done: when you are hungry in between meals, brush your teeth and you'll think you have eaten.
Yeah, so that could be something too, right?
I've done that many times.
And then the other thing that helped me in the very beginning, I don't do it now as much, but I was the type of person that could not fall asleep if I was hungry to save my life, right? As soon as that hunger hit and I'm laying in bed, I'm going downstairs in my underwear and eating a box of cookies, right? Like it's game over. So for me, I started drinking decaf coffee right before I went to bed. Now you can do this with decaf coffee, you can do this with tea, anything that's warm, right? Even like a low calorie like chicken broth soup or something. When you put that warm liquid into your stomach and fill it up, it curbs that appetite and you can fall asleep without actually eating food. So I did that in the very beginning. I still do the brush the teeth thing. I also chew gum, obviously, because that's just it's easy to do, right? If I'm hungry, I'll drink some water and then chew some gum, and that helps too. But the warm drink at night really helped me. So maybe it'll help you.
Try that out.
Sounds good.
And I like that you called it a hack, not a magic pill or magic bullet. You know, the industry, it's probably one of the most abusive industries. You know, like Andrew, you had mentioned the word like fat shaming, you know, like when you're overweight, you feel bad. People don't realize that, but you do feel bad. And here you have a whole industry devoted into making you think something's going to happen instantly and it doesn't. And then you even feel worse because it didn't work, you know? So I feel like if it was about any other kind of addiction, that they'd all be put out of business because it wouldn't be allowed, you know?
I'll tell you what, if there was a network on national TV that was dedicated to doing heroin, cocaine, smoking cigarette, like you have the Food Network and the Cooking Channel. That's
Yeah.
literally crack to all of us.
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy, but it's not viewed that way in society.
So, Catherine, it's interesting because even now, I find myself looking for the, 55 pounds down, and I'm like, all right, what can I do that's going to help me, expedite my weight loss, or what can I add that's going to, make this go faster? It's just ingrained in us, and you have to break that mental cycle and just remember that what got me where I'm at is staying focused and doing what I'm doing. And when you hit those plateaus, it's like you don't look for the next quick fix. Remain strong and do what you've been doing that got you to where you are.
You know, it kind of reminds me of the quick fix sort of issue in real estate. We all know that have been around for a while that it takes about 3 years to get a steady income.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then 5 years is the benchmark, whether you're going to stay in or not. Right? But how many times have we heard recruiting spiels? Oh, just join. It'll be easy. You just make 100 phone calls a day. All you have to do is sell 2 houses a month. And what's the dropout rate in real estate?
Like
50%.
80%. Is 80% in the first year, isn't
Is
it?
it 80% in the first year?
It's something ridiculous.
I know they don't seem correlated, but one day I had kind of like that aha. It's like it took me 5 years to reach my goal. Okay. But it took me 5 years to become stable in real estate too.
Right.
But somehow that was okay. And so, it's like we all know that we're in that want to have it now, but we're all successful in our careers, and we didn't get there in 6 months, 8 months, 2 months, whatever. So I try to be mindful of that. I don't know if that helps anybody, that it's slow and steady. And Nick, I 100% commend, because I know he hasn't fallen off the wagon once. I know that I'm a good wagon faller offer, and then I put myself back on. But you have to be able to forgive yourself too if you do that, move on, because the graph goes like this in the long term, or this way, basically, if we want to go down.
Yeah, that's great. I mean, if you do fall off, just jump right back on. There's no sense, because once you so a coach told me, and this is a little bit different, but this kind of relates. When I was in the best shape of my life, right? I was playing two sports and everything, and this guy was an ex-buck. Um, he said that you can be in the peak condition of your life, the best shape you've ever been in your entire life, and it only takes 5 days of peak conditioning of doing nothing to start regressing and going backwards.
Hmm.
Right.
Wow.
So you think about that, and you think about, you could go 3, 4, 5 months of excellent, unstoppable eat, like your perfect diet and everything. And in 5 days, you can start creating those bad habits again. And then, so don't let it go more than a day or two. If you mess up, if you're out somewhere or whatever, you don't have your meal prep with you, fine. When you wake up the next morning, boom, back to day one, Groundhog Day, right? And just get right back on it, because you're not going to be perfect all the time. Life isn't perfect. The world isn't perfect. You just have to give yourself the best opportunity.
Yeah, I
We
agree.
all have given so much good advice and so much insights, and we're running out of time. We could probably do this for 2 hours, but let's kind of sort to wrap up. If you knew someone struggling with weight loss or health, what is, out of your recent experiences, the single best bit of advice you think you could give them? Ladies first.
Okay. I think one of the things that I would recommend is just take it as a process as we learn our business, just like you said, Catherine, and take it day by day and make those small changes. My husband and I went out to dinner last night, and instead of what he would have had as sides, he still had a steak, smaller portion, but he had broccoli and cauliflower mashed potatoes rather than what he would have had before. Not all the bread. I mean, you can make small changes in your life, and every single day it gets you towards the mark that you want to be at, because you didn't gain it overnight. And the best tip I have is the Premier protein bars and shakes. They only have 2 or 3 grams of carbs in them. And my husband at first, because now he's lost weight because he's kind of eating what I've kind of given him. But now he even meal preps and even takes a little cooler with him, says Caliber Home Loans on it, but there you go, when he goes and does some of the stuff at his job sites. So it's interesting, just those small changes, it's changed both of us. And that's minor things you can do each day.
Great advice. Andrew?
So I am a fan of Premier Protein as well.
The best.
And the Atkins bars or the Premier Protein bars.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important to realize that, and it's evident here that, there's not one answer that fits everybody. And if you're struggling, find the right lifestyle that works for you. Right. And I think that's important. For me, I do have a cheat day and a cheat meal, as where Nick doesn't do that, but that works for me. Right. That helps me get through the cravings and during the week of like, oh my gosh, I want a piece of cake. No, you can wait till, Saturday or Sunday, and then, you can have your cheat day or your cheat meal then. But I think it's just important that you find what works for you and you make it a lifestyle, not a diet. And try and find an accountability partner that you can talk to and share information with and bounce ideas off of, and be able to just say, you know what, I've been at this weight for the last 2 weeks now, and I'm just ready to throw my hands up, because they're going to be the ones that encourage you and remind you of what you've accomplished to where you're at now, and to not quit.
I like that. Not one size fits all. Everybody's different, some different fit for each person, and accountability. And to that, we'll lead with Nick, Mr. In My Boxers on the internet. Accountability. Nick Sack.
I'll piggyback off that, but I will say there is one solution and one thing that does fit all, that can be flexible, and that is actually having a healthy habit. So Andrew mentioned lifestyle, right? The habits that you're in right now are just unhealthy. So the fact that you saying you want to create a new habit, that's what you have to do. So if you're at a place right now where you're unhappy about your health, your weight, your whatever, all the actions that you've done your whole entire life have led up to that point. You have to change that. So put yourself in the best possible scenario. And for me, this is like the business hack, right? I don't create things. I mean, I do create things, but I look to other people who have done what I want to accomplish, and I just mimic what they've done. And so that's what Andrew talks about. And for me, like, I have a health coach. I've had sports coaches my whole entire life. I've had business coaches. And when it was time for me to get serious, I said, you know what? I've always had a coach. I'm going to have a health coach, an accountability partner, because you need that you need to have that as this is what I did last week. What are you doing this week? How can we make some adjustments? And just a sounding board, because just like your business, right? Sometimes you're just too close to things. You're too close to your personal life and everything. You can't see there's roadblocks and stuff that somebody else will be able to help you with. But creating that successful habit and turning or calling it a lifestyle, if you want, is what's going to take you from where you are today, breaking those old habits and the old way of doing things. We call it the reptilian part of your brain. All your brain wants to do is keep you safe and alive. Okay? So, of course, your brain's going to say, screw that kale salad. I want to eat a pizza, because you've always eaten a pizza. And every time you eat a pizza, you feel better. That's the reptilian part of your brain saying it's safe to eat pizza. Well, it's not safe, right? You have to break that. So don't listen to your mind. And here's another hack. Name the voice in your head. Okay? Because if you name the voice in your head, you can remove it from yourself and realize that this isn't me. This is the reptilian part of my brain. It can be called something crazy, right? I call mine Gary, right? So when I see something and I get triggered, shut up, Gary. I'm not listening to you right now, right? This is not who I want to be. This is who I am right now. And I'm not my feelings. I'm not my emotions. So the emotional state that you're in that one specific second is who you were, but it's not who you have to be. And you have to break that cycle. So create that healthy habit. Listen to other people who have already done exactly what you want to do. Partner with them. Find out coaches. Seek out that, and you will be successful.
Great advice from all of you. And in closing, this is usually where I ask our strategic partners, why Women's Council, why now? It doesn't really apply here, but what does apply here, as you all know, Women's Council is famous for supporting its members and being supportive of each other. What can we as members of Women's Council do to support you and each other towards better health?
I think for me, Women's Council probably is the best thing I've ever been involved in now during this weight loss journey, during a healthier lifestyle. Because even just the comments posted on Facebook, the encouragement when you do something that's worthwhile, or inspiring others. I mean, Nick inspired me, certainly. I had already started a couple weeks before. The trainer inspires me when I work out with him a couple times a week because the accountability. But Women's Council, I think that if we hold each other accountable and praise the small changes that lead up to the big changes, it's a lifestyle change. So I appreciate the other members to do that.
Very good. Very good. Anyone else want to add?
I think the accountability and the encouragement. And I would say this is, if you know somebody who is working on it and you think about them, reach out to them and ask them, because you never know where they're at, what they're struggling with that day. It might be that 4 hours and you're hangry and you're looking for the chocolate milkshake rather than the chocolate Premier Protein. And that phone call could be, hey, I just wanted to let you know I was thinking about you and happy about the success that you're having. That changes that mindset that goes, well, I'm going to the Premier Protein shake now instead of the chocolate milkshake.
That's great.
Reach out, phone, text, private message, whatever it is, and just encourage.
Nick, you have anything?
I think, just the overall community. And like I said, mimic success from other people. So whenever you're part of a group like this and you see other people having success, reach out to them, right? We're all part of the same team. So find out.
And like I said, just in the beginning of COVID, we were so focused on business, and in Women's Council, we think business first. But success is many forms. It's not just money. It's not business. It's personal relationships, and it's your
personal
health
to you. Yeah.
No, it's personal, like your family relationships, your
But
health.
your definition of success is different than mine, and different than Andrew's, and different from Claudette. they have
But-
different goals, and I know what you're saying, but yeah.
But so much we just focus on the money and on the business.
Mhm.
And it's really more of a three-leg stool sort
Yeah.
of thing. So that being said, I want to thank everybody who has joined on this hour. I especially want to thank our guests again, Claudette Kelsey, Caliber Loans, Andrew Bell, our 2021 state liaison, first new position. You'll be the benchmark that all other state liaisons will be compared to. No pressure, no pressure. And then Nick Sakis, Amplified Marketing. Nick, are there any comments or questions?
I mean, the people that were live are just, they love the Premier Protein. So that was great from one. Calories in, calories out. Everybody's saying how awesome it is. Keep up the good work. They really appreciated this live. I think this will be replayed a lot. I think there was a lot of good nuggets in this one.
And like
Okay.
Catherine said, if you want to reach out, reach out. Everybody has my cell phone number.
Yeah.
I mean, because you don't know how many people I have had in this industry, even people I work with in my office when they'll see me every few weeks that had something that they needed. Reach out. We're all here for each other.
Yep.
So everyone keep that in mind. Again, many thanks. Remind everyone that this will be on replay shortly. As far as Women's Council news, we promised you a value proposition in the beginning of the year. I hope we have fulfilled that thus far. I want to thank all of you that attended our meeting with the mayor. Last week, we had over 150 people in attendance, which was phenomenal. Our next Leadership Live will be October 7th. As we said, we're going bi-weekly, so put that on your calendar. And then coming up next, October is National Cybersecurity Awareness Month. So we are working on putting on an event revolving the latest and greatest in cyber security. Keep in mind, anything you want to know about Women's Council Tampa, go to wcrtampa.com. Quick reminder there, you will find our Mentors on Demand. That is our program of volunteers who are there waiting and expecting your call. If you're having a bad day, if you want to discuss an issue, if you're in real legal trouble, call your broker. This is just a support system that we've put in place for you, and you can find that at wcrtampa.com. Our national leadership is always available to you, wcr.org. A lot of good events and webinars there on various topics. And I remind each and every one of you, when you see something from Women's Council Tampa come in your news feed, like and share, like and share. That's our best shot at organic growth. We're doing really well. We started out our Facebook page with, what was it, Nick, like 1,100 followers, and now we're close to 2,000.
Yep.
That's a huge increase for the year, and it was done largely organically. So remember, like and share. So that's it. It's time to close. Thank you again. Have a wonderful
Thanks.
week.
Appreciate
Thank you, guys.